The news, edited by Danushka Madhavala and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. First dose of the Sinopharm vaccine has been given to more than 1.5 million individuals. The government says 21 million doses of COVID vaccines will be imported by September this year. Special program has been initiated to retrieve underwater plastic waste after fire-wrecked cargo ship. Pilot projects will be initiated during the Saubhagya week. The European Union has revised its tax policy on postal shipments to 26 countries with effect from July 1st. In news from overseas, UK Health Secretary quits after breaking social distance guidance. The Health Minister says that the first dose of the Sinopharm vaccine has been given to more than 1.5 million individuals. Around 500,000 persons were inoculated the second dose as well. 115,000 persons have already received the first dose of the Sputnik V and around 15,000 persons have received the second dose. Around 1.3 million persons have been given the Covishield first dose and 900,000 persons have received the second dose of the Covishield vaccine. The government says 21 million doses of COVID vaccines will be imported by September this year. Accordingly, Sinopharm and Sputnik V vaccines will be imported. Out of these doses, 6.5 million doses are to be received by next month. Another 9 million doses of vaccines will be received in August. Another 3 million doses of vaccines will be imported during the month of September. The government hopes to vaccinate more than 13 million people in the country. Meanwhile, Army Commander General Shamindra Silva said that vaccination program in the country is being carried out successfully. More than 1,000 tons of plastic and other waste have been collected from the Sri Lankan shores after the fire-wrecked cargo ship Express Pearl. Those wastes are now stored at a yard in Vattala area. Sri Lanka Navy is now working towards retrieving the underwater waste by using divers. Meanwhile, the insurance company of the Express Pearl has agreed to pay an initial compensation fee of 720 million rupees to the fishing community affected by the disaster caused by the fire on board the ship. Minister of Justice Ali Sabri said the company will pay the sum as an initial settlement until the complete compensation fee is agreed with the parent company. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. State Minister of Transport Dilum Amungama says that inter-provincial bus services will not be provided as per a discussion with the National Operations Centre for Prevention of COVID-19 outbreak. It was previously scheduled to run a selected number of bus services between the provinces from tomorrow to operate essential services. Saubhagya Week commences from the 1st to the 7th of next month. Programs will be conducted in all Gramanildari divisions under this initiative. Loans will be approved for livelihood projects. A housing development program will be initiated during this week. Director General of Samurdhi Bandula Thilakasiri said that scholarships will also be given for the individuals under the Social Security Fund. That ends local news. Main news story follows.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The number of coronavirus cases confirmed in Sri Lanka has exceeded the 250,000 mark following the detection of 1,086 patients yesterday. Accordingly, Sri Lanka's COVID-19 cases tally has increased to 251,012. All new cases have been linked to the New Year COVID-19 cluster. The epidemiology unit of the Ministry of Health said 31,367 persons across the country currently receiving treatment for coronavirus. Earlier, 2,172 persons who recovered from COVID-19 were discharged from hospitals, raising the number of recoveries in the country to 216,840. That was our main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
In Washlight, police have arrested 361 individuals during the past 24 hours on charges of violating quarantine regulations. Police media spokesman, acting senior DIG Ajit Rohana said 44,200 persons have been arrested on similar charges since the 30th of October last year. He noted a majority were arrested from the Mathale district. Police urged the public to obey quarantine regulations despite authorities lifting the travel restrictions imposed island-wide. That came to you in Watchlight, and on to a bulletin of world news in the headlines. UK Health Secretary quits after breaking social distance guidance. Florida building collapse report from 2018 warned of major damage. Man jumps from plane after trying to access cockpit. Matt Hancock has resigned as Health Secretary after he breached social distancing guidance by kissing a colleague. In a letter to the PM, he said the government owe it to the people who have sacrificed so much in this pandemic to be honest when we have let them down. Boris Johnson said he was sorry to receive the resignation. Former Chancellor Sajid Javid has said he is honoured to have been chosen as Mr. Hancock's replacement. Mr. Hancock had been under increasing pressure to quit after The Sun published pictures and then a video of Mr. Hancock and Gina Colavangelo, who are both married with 3 children, kissing. The newspaper said they had been taken inside the Department of Health on the 6th of May. An inspection in 2018 highlighted a major error in the original design of an apartment block that collapsed near Miami, Florida. It has been revealed. The engineer's report, which has just been made public, said the fault prevented water draining from the base of the seafront complaint towers. Part of the building collapsed on Thursday while many residents slept. Hopes are fading for the 159 people still unaccounted for. So far, 5 deaths have been confirmed. Rescue efforts were hampered on Saturday after fire broke out underneath the rubble. Miami-Dade Mayor Daniela Levine Carval said the blaze was very deep and rescuers faced incredible difficulties because of the fire. A man has jumped from a moving plane at Los Angeles International Airport after attempting to access the jet's cockpit. The man, who was not identified, opened the plane's door and fled via the emergency slide on Friday, the Federal Aviation Administration said. He was detained on the taxiway and taken to hospital with unspecified injuries. There has been a rise in incidents on flights in the U.S. About 3,000 incidents have been recorded this year. And back to the headlines of the world news. UK Health Secretary quits after breaking social distance guidance. Florida building collapse report from 2018 warned of major damage. Man jumps from plane after trying to access cockpit. That was the world news, and now in development news. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa recently met with an Omani investor delegation from Shumuk Investment and Services, SAOC, which is the investment arm of Madain, the public establishment for industrial estates of the Sultanate of Oman at Temple Trees. Prime Minister Rajapaksa and the Omani delegation discussed ways and means to enhance economic cooperation between Sri Lanka and Oman, including investment opportunities in particular. The Omani delegation also met with State Minister of Finance, Capital Markets and State Enterprise Reforms, Ajit Niwad Cabral, at the Minister of Finance in Colombo, and explored areas for investment opportunities. They also held a series of meetings, including with officials of different ministries, Central Bank of Sri Lanka, and with the chairman of Board of Investment of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka Embassy in Oman, jointly with the Embassy of Oman in Sri Lanka, organized the mentioned visit of the Omani investors under the investment bubble concept. That came to you in development news, and on to sports news. 4-time Olympic champion Mo Farah is in good shape and will not be bringing his medal-laden career to an end just yet, his coach believes. The 38-year-old failed to qualify for the Tokyo Games when he missed the 10,000-meter selection time at the British Championships in Manchester on Friday. Afterwards, he suggested he would have to consider his future on the track. That was sports news.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business news. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
On to business news, Amazon and Google are under investigation over fake 5-star reviews on their websites, which could mislead shoppers. The Competition and Markets Authority is also worried that law-abiding businesses who sell over Amazon and Google may be losing out to firms using false recommendations. Amazon and Google could face court action for breaking consumer law. Both firms say they have resources and policies in place to stop fake reviews. That was business news.
Business news. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
In economic news, the European Union has revised its tax policy on postal shipments to 26 countries with effect from July 1st. Issuing a notice, Postmaster General Ranjit Aryaratne stated that the tax regulatory changes will be applicable to all goods except letters imported to the EU member countries, including postal customers, online sellers and online marketplaces. Thereby, all mail items sent to EU member countries will be subjected to the applicable VAT policy and other tariff policies in accordance with the Union's agreement with the relevant EU destinations. The sender of postal goods to those countries will have to pay these taxes directly to the relevant country for goods worth less than €150. That was economic news.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
In the weather report, several spells of showers will occur in the western Sabragamur and northwestern provinces and in the Galle, Mathura, Kandy and Nuwara Eliya districts. Showers or thundershowers will occur at a few places in the Uva and the eastern provinces and in Anuradhapura, Vaunia and Mullaitivu districts in the evening or at night. General public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporarily localized strong winds and lightning during thundershowers. That was the weather report.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
To end this news broadcast, back to the headlines. First dose of the Sinopharm vaccine has been given to more than 1.5 million individuals. The government says 21 million doses of COVID vaccines will be imported by September this year. Special program has been initiated to retrieve underwater plastic waste after fire-wrecked cargo ship. Pilot projects will be initiated during the Saubhagya week. The European Union has revised its tax policy on postal shipments to 26 countries with effect from July the 1st. In news from overseas, UK Health Secretary quits after breaking social distance guidance. And with that, we end this news broadcast.